We're going to save and totally cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. The Democrats are going to destroy it. They'll destroy it. We're going to save it and make it stronger than ever before.
We will always protect Medicare and Social Security for our great seniors with no cuts.
We're making Social Security stronger. The Democrats are destroying Social Security. Social Security will not be touched. It'll only be strengthened. We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that other than if we can find some abuse or waste, we'll do something, but the people won't be affected. It'll only be more effective and better. And our country, as our country gets richer, the people on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, those people are going to be more secure.
President Trump, as you just heard multiple times, repeatedly promised to protect Social Security, but he has yet to introduce any proposal to secure the program. And the money is now running out faster than previously predicted. The trust fund that pays retiree and survivor benefits could run dry just 8 years from now when today's 59-year-olds are 67. But it could be even sooner, as that timeline does not factor in the projected impacts of the president's agenda, including massive tax cuts, tariffs, and mass deportation plans, all of which could impact the money Social Security relies on. Joining us now, NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Cheung and professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan, Justin Wolfers. Brian, I do want to talk about Social Security just for another beat, and that is, it's going to run out projected in 8 years. Why is that? Why is there not enough money?
Yeah, and by the way, we had thought that it would not be depleted until 9 years from now. And this new projection from the trust fund for Social Security itself now says that's going to be a year earlier than projected, now in 2034. So that is alarming. And yeah, certainly you wonder, because that projection doesn't include any sort of impact from what the president's agenda might be right now, certainly doesn't factor in anything from the big, beautiful bill. You do wonder about what is going to come down the pike for that program, which is now projected to deplete earlier than we expected. Now, in the Senate version of the big, beautiful bill, again, as is right now, because all of this is moving very fast, there is this proposal for a $6,000 senior bonus, which is maybe the president's way of trying to get around the inability to use this particular reconciliation process to do the tax elimination that he wanted to propose on Social Security benefits. But again, whether or not that makes it into the final bill does remain an open question. And yes, the Social Security program is going to run dry.
Justin, explain why it is why this is happening, why there is not enough money to keep funding Social Security. What has happened? What's changed among the population of Americans?
Yeah, so the way it looks, or the way many of us think about it, is we think about it as if I have my account, I paid my money in, there should be money for me when I get there. But that's not actually how this was ever set up. The original sin is actually way back when Social Security was set up, which was basically that the young would look after the old. That's the financing of it. And what happens if you get too many old and not enough young, there's not enough money going in and there's a whole lot of money going out. That's what's happening here. Katie, the thing I really want to impress upon your viewers is this talk about the trust fund going bankrupt could lead people to really be terrified. And I want them to be worried but not terrified. So what will happen is when there's no more money in the trust fund, that just then means that the amount of money coming in will be the maximum that they can pay out. So what that in turn will mean is that people's Social Security benefits, were Congress never to act, would fall by about 20 or 30%. So there would still be something there for you, but maybe not what you are hoping for. That, of course, is why the system needs reform.
How can Congress act to make it better?
Congress acts to make it sustainable. If you don't have enough young people and you've got lots of old people, there's lots of options here. For instance, most people draw Social Security at age 65, but we're a lot healthier at 65 than we once were. Or we could make the young people pay enough to support the old people if we raise the taxes that young people pay into Social Security. Or we could cut the benefits, or a whole slew of options. The only bad option is doing nothing, because that's then refusing to make a choice, and that's going to cause an overnight cut in the payments that people get.
But immigration is also an interesting factor here, and immigration can certainly help Social Security. We have a lot of immigrants in this country who could start paying into it more if they were legalized. Justin, is anyone talking about that?
There's a couple of places there that are really important, Katie. So first of all, when we bring in more young people from abroad, that's the whole Social Security problem, an imbalance between old people and young people. There's a queue of young people at the border. Let them in. And if they start paying Social Security taxes, then all of a sudden the problem goes away. People often say it's important. I'm often criticised. People ask me to distinguish between legal and illegal immigration. The funny thing is, when it comes to Social Security, in fact, illegal immigration is an even better deal. Maybe not morally, but certainly from an accounting sense. The thing is, every time you hear of someone who's working under a fake Social Security number, they're sending in the payments every month under that fake number. But you can't draw payments as an old person under a fake number. So in fact, some large part of our Social Security is being paid for by undocumented workers who are never going to benefit from the system at all. They're supporting it, and that's one of the reasons it's still afloat.
All right, Brian, let's talk about the other economic news, and that is that there are no deals. G7 happened, no deals.
Right. Yeah, and certainly that weighs on the tariff uncertainty, which we just heard from the Federal Reserve yesterday, is adding fuel to the fire of inflation, because as the Federal Reserve has been trying to keep interest rates high, which, by the way, they didn't change yesterday, they opted to hold interest rates steady, they are trying to navigate policy for the next few months without any more certainty on the tariffs than they had 3 months ago when they last had their set of projections. So for that reason, the economists inside the Federal Reserve, which is the most important economic institution in this country, maybe arguably in the world, they raised their expectations and their forecasts for inflation on the key measures that they take a look at for 2025. As we also heard from Jay Powell from the podium yesterday in a press conference, that he worries about the tariff impacts already passing through to goods prices as soon as later on this summer.
There was a lot of buying up in bulk ahead of an announcement on tariffs that was happening. I wonder, is the expectation that that's going to continue to happen, Justin, or is there going to be an expectation of a slowdown in terms of American consumer habits going forward?
This is a really important point, Katie. So I'm going to start with the bottom line, which is economic statistics are currently and will be for most of the rest of the year very, very hard to make sense of. The reason is, as you said, before the tariffs came into place, there was a lot of buying in anticipation, try and get in before the tax hike. Now, that, of course, distorted the first quarter. That's one of the reasons economic growth was so low. But all that spending that was occurring in the first quarter, a lot of that was spending that would have occurred in the second quarter. And so that in turn is going to distort how the second quarter reads. And then you'll add on to that since then a whole bunch of tariffs have been turned on and off. And should you be front running the next set of tariffs? Who knows? Remember, it was only a couple of weeks ago that on a Friday the president imposed a 50% tariff on the European Union, and he backed off by Monday. So the other thing that's coming out of this, of course, is tremendous uncertainty. And it looks like for a lot of businesses and a lot of families, that uncertainty is just freezing them in place. Is now a good time to buy a car? I don't know. I don't want to be the sucker who buys now when the tariffs are high if they're about to come down. And so if you're at all like me, that's my family's story, you're frozen in place and you haven't bought that car.